All right. Good evening and welcome to the True Love Movement Hour. I'm your host, Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fire.
And we would like to welcome everyone here this nice and wet and damp March 25th, Saturday here in 2017 in the city of New Orleans. Mama Fire, what's happening?
Well, it's feeling real good out there. It's all right for the rain. We need the rain too.
Yeah,
The water. That's right. Water the ground, water the plants and the garden and all the beautiful things that we are, all the seeds we're planting.
That's right.
That's right. So it's been a beautiful day.
Yes.
Self-care as usual on a Saturday. It's really important to do that.
That's right.
So went over to Sanchez Center, to Kramer, and they had a very special super class today with a brunch to kickstart to Kramer's GoFundMe campaign. And so if you want some more information about that, I'll put it on social media so everybody can check that out and support the campaign that Takrama Center for Art and Culture is doing right now.
Right, that'll work.
Yep.
And speaking of Takrama, we got something coming up soon in about a month at Takrama.
That's right. We have our book signing. It's happening over there at Takrama. It's going to be a book signing like no other.
That's right.
So it's going to be a beautiful presentation of sisterhood. That is happening on April the 29th. I need everybody out there, please, to show support, not only for True Love Movement and the Keep It High Thoughts in a New Light book, but also for sisterhood and for Takrama Center for Art and Culture. We're just coming together, doing some magnificent things that night. It's a Jazz Fest night as well. Okay. So we're going to rock it out from 7 to 10 p.m. We're going to have a band and some performances. So y'all come on out, please, and support that happening April 29th, 7 to 10 o'clock at Takrama Center for Art and Culture.
So it's going to be extremely festive, what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be serious.
Right.
We're celebrating some serious sisters. That's the name of it.
Oh, serious sisters.
Serious sisters. They, their love for the community is out of this world.
There you
kind of thing. So we need the support. We need sisters. Sisters need it. They need people to say, thank you, sister. Keep going, sister.
Right.
We're proud of you, sister. We need you, sister. Sisters need that.
Definitely.
And so this is an opportunity here to celebrate, because we don't want stuff to stop. We don't want what sisters are doing to stop. And not saying it is going to stop, but I'm just saying sisters need encouragement. And this is a night to come out and encourage these powerful sister queens to continue doing the work that they're doing in the community.
So it's a coalition type
thing. It's a coalition. It's a collaboration. It's not a competition. This is a beautiful manifestation of sisterhood. And one of my chapters in the book is on sisterhood, Brother Shaq.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about that at the book signing. If you want a book, of course you want a book. So come on out and get your book and get your book signed as well. So yeah, that's going to be live.
Right on. I'm looking forward to that, Mama Fire. The whole labor of love of keeping it high, putting that together and finally getting the book to release was a special thing. And so, it's so good that we are in a situation now where we're getting ready to show it to the public. Because, again, well anticipated. This book has been in the making for how many years, Mama Fire?
15. It sounds funny, though, but, about 7 or 8 years. I talk about the cycle of 7,
right.
But I've been writing it for so long. I'm a writer, period.
Definitely.
And so I document and categorize all of my writings in my journal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was already there. I pulled from the past. I
right.
pulled from, 2-3 years ago. I pulled from everything within 15 years. But Runaway Girl was published about 7-8 years ago. And so I've been writing this book since then.
No doubt.
And so Really proud of it.
And I'm
Proud of all the
excited.
messages.
I'm excited.
Me
You know what I'm saying?
too.
I'm excited seeing it go from, from idea to concept to an actual, you know, piece of material there,
Yes.
a beautiful
A product.
400-page product. Huh?
400 pages.
That's right.
And you know, it's the type of book that you can read from cover to cover, but you
Mhm.
can also just pick up, in a chapter. There's
Right.
13 chapters. Choose a chapter
Make
and
it
start
stand
reading it
alone.
from there.
Definitely.
Really proud.
Definitely. And we have a jam-packed show for you all on this rainy day. We're taking many of our folk are inside Mama Fire, they're indoors right now. Spending some family time, some self-care time, and we're honored. There's so many things that you all could be doing, but we're honored that you chose to tune in here with us today, like you do every Saturday, like we do every Saturday at this time, right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. Real Talk for Real Times. You can also tune in and catch us on the WBOK 12:30 a.m. app on iPhone, and it's in the Play Store for Google. Of course, WBOK1230am.com on the Listen Now tab. And shout out to our Facebook Live audience, our viewers, our family there. You can simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook and catch us right here live in the studio on this live stream. We're going live. You know how folks say we're going live, right?
Yeah.
So we're going live, and you can build with us right here on the air. I'll give out the calling number right out the gate, Mama Five. For those who don't know, 504-260-9265. Again, the calling number is 504-260-9265. And you can also chime in on the Facebook Live feed on the comments section, and we'll do our best to respond to you accordingly right there on the spot. But please build with us. And without any further ado, Mama Five, because this is such a big topic,
Mm-hmm.
and we had talked about this for so long, and it's much longer than we can jam up in an hour, but we can certainly do our part to further the conversation. Tonight's topic, without any further ado, we're going to jump right into it. It's titled Unfair Skin. Again, it's Unfair Skin. So what's the inspiration, Mama Fire, behind this particular topic at this time of all times?
Well, this is a topic that we have wanted to do. It always pops up as a topic to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about colorism right here in our community,
Definitely.
And so it's a doozy.
Yes.
Every day, it never fails. I'm hearing how, my skin is pretty, that my complexion is pretty,
Mm-hmm.
that, and pretty meaning light.
Right.
Not pretty because it's dewy and soft.
Right,
It's because
right.
it's light. And
Right.
my hair, your hair is, hair, don't get started on hair.
Sure.
But hair goes right with skin color, and it goes right with an issue for our people.
Definitely.
A huge issue that we need to dig into and really chop it up on.
Definitely. And I think I'm glad we took the time to do this, because I'll say that it's for as long as this has been a topic or an issue in our community, time hasn't made it any better, It's one of those things, Mama Fire, where people say, in 2017 this is still an issue, and yeah, it really is.
It's an issue. We got to put it to bed today.
It's the kind of thing that won't just go away on its own, because though colorism isn't in the DSM, Mama Fire, I'm convinced that it's an illness.
Definitely.
It's definitely an illness.
It's an offshoot of racism.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's a
Mm-hmm.
byproduct, definitely, of racism, but usually colorism or that kind of thing is looked at in its own separate box. You know what I'm saying? People don't really think about racism. You know what I mean? When they think about colorism, that's because they're not really clear on what racism is.
Right.
But we're going to dig into that. And I mean, I've had a lot of experience, my life, anybody who's, depending on your complexion, that depends what kind of life you experience, Mama Fire, in many ways, or how you experience this life. And I remember growing up, my mother, she was very adamant about blackness. I came from one of those kind of homes. I remember that well. She'd never used, black or dark skin to describe our people. She also wouldn't say bright or light skin to describe our people. Instead, she'd say, natural or brown skin. And she'd say fair skin to describe others, including herself. And so, you know, I got to thinking about that as we were talking about this some time ago. And, you know, I started looking. So I said, let me look up fair and see how fair is defined. Just because I've heard that before. Haven't you heard about fair skin?
Definitely.
That kind of thing. And
Crazy, huh?
so it's a real thing. So I looked it up. But I looked up fair. And it says fair is defined in accordance with rules or standards. Fair is legitimate, legal. Fair is just, equitable, honest, upright, honorable, trustworthy, unbiased, unprejudiced, nonpartisan, neutral, even-handed, lawful, and legal. Again, legal. That's fair. Another definition of fair is of hair or complexion, light and blonde. It has here.
Okay.
Fair is also pale, light-colored, white, creamy. That's also fair.
Okay.
And this is definitions that, you know, our folk could look up. Fair is also defined as beautiful, attractive. Fair is defined as reasonable, passable, tolerable, satisfactory, acceptable, respectable, and decent. And so when you apply fair to skin, because that's a real thing, that's pretty heavy, you're suggesting that it is good, that it is beautiful, and that it's attractive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
So that's heavy duty, though.
And when you think of fair as justice as well.
Right.
You know, that flips it.
Right.
That moves that paradigm over.
Definitely. But you know, fair-skinned is a real thing, and people recognize the terminology and have been using it for, you know, at least, you know, my time on the planet. Because I remember, oh, by the way, it comes from one of the Germanic languages, the word fager, or, you know, I'm sure you pronounce it with some other kind of twist on it, but for simplicity, it's F-A-E-G-E-R, which translates to pleasing and attractive. That's the etymology of the word fair. So for me, it was in the mid-'70s as I was becoming familiar with the world and asking why about every damn thing, Mama Fi, and I still do 40 years later. But it seems that the variety of skin tones has been with indigenous people since the beginning, some millions, but likely trillions of years ago. So this ain't nothing new. The M word, which has gained substantial popularity over the last couple of decades, I'm talking about melanin. Mama Fi, you know, we talk about that all the time here on the True Love Movement Hour. Matter of fact, last week we talked about melanin and pineal gland, but melanin is, if you're not up on it, is a determinant of skin pigmentation and many other things. But as I said, it's produced in the pineal gland, but they are simply mixtures of colors and variations depending on your genetic makeup. So melanin ain't just one thing for one folk. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, it's all kinds of different mixtures and variations and tones or what have you. And so everybody, it says everybody has melanin, but melanin for both fair, like they say, this is what they're saying, fair and dark-skinned people, it comes in different forms and ratios. Now, there are two forms of melanin. They're called eumelanin and pheomelanin. Eumelanin comes in primarily brown and black hues, while pheomelanin appears as red or yellow hues. Now, we don't have time today to do a whole science lesson and a dig into chemically, you know, melanin in a way, but this is something that you all can do and should do just so you understand. But in short and in simple, for today's show, melanin is what makes your skin. It gives it its pigment. And so we want to, Mama Fi, if you would, I know that this idea of fair skin and today's topic being unfair skin, suggesting that there's something very unfair about that whole idea and that whole arrangement of fair skin being beautiful and pleasing.
Because it's closer to white.
Because it's closer to white. You know, we want to dig into that, you know, if you would, just right out the gate. And I know that impacts our people differently. It impacts, you know, men and boys in a way, and it impacts, you know, sisters and, you know, women and girls in a completely different way. And again, go ahead.
And, you know, it's messed up both ways, though, always, Brother Shaq, because we always talk about the world being turned completely upside down.
Right.
That everything that is right is wrong, and wrong is right, bad is good, and all this other stuff. And so the way we look at skin color you know, has everything to do with what we've been taught about white being right.
Yes.
And so this is something that we have to scrub our minds and dismiss completely, because this is upholding white supremacy.
Yes.
When you say, you know, and hey, white people are going to uphold white supremacy. So what I found out, what I realized, and what I tell young people when I'm talking to them is that colorism is international.
Yes.
International. So colorism is in India, in Asia, in Africa,
Yes.
in America, in Mexico.
Latin America.
I mean, it's everywhere. In Canada, anywhere you are, the darker you are, the uglier or the badder or the more sinister or the, you know, poorer you are. And that is absolutely, positively wrong.
Definitely.
Because the blacker the berry, the darker the sweeter the, you know, but the darker the flesh, then the deeper the roots, like my brother Tupac says.
Right.
This is our ancestry, you know, this brown, earth-like, soil-like skin color, this universal blackness is really our roots, all of our roots. So it should be turned opposite, where you like thankful and think it's so beautiful and so wonderful when you see the brown skin color. But of course, you know, especially here in New Orleans, Brother Shaq, listen, I am raised in New Orleans for my whole life, and I understand that they can be light-skinned or dark-skinned people in one family here.
Definitely.
You know, New Orleans is so rich in every culture, African, you know, of course it's African at the root, but then French, and there's the issue with Creole and Cajun.
All the invaders.
You know, exactly. You know, Spanish and all these other things. And so right here I'm not beating around the bush. You helping me with this. Right in our own family, there are so many different shades of black.
Right.
But the issue comes when we are treating children differently because of their skin color, right?
Sure.
Not that we are all one family and look at how beautiful our skin is, and all it is that you know, you're more prettier than she is because you're lighter and all this stuff. This is seriously rooted in our families. Definitely. You know, this is rooted in the way we think. Also because it's propagandized, of course. Definitely. And that's what they're going to do. We have to be smarter. We have to be more rooted internally on who we are, so that none of that stuff affects us. Right. You see, you know, in the movies, it's you know, if it's going to be a black woman in the movie or a black man in the movie, he's going to be of a light. You know, they're going to be of lighter skin and a different type of hair, more closer to white. And really, like we say all the time, Brother Shaq, it's about us and our own minds and what's beautiful to us.
Sure. And then having to be clear, like we, as the reason why this is still an issue for our people, one, it's a wound, you know, yes. It's a real wound because
the sickness, for sure.
Because your appearance grants you favor from your oppressor. And so we are, you know, socialized into this whole idea that lighter is righter. And, you know, that's a heavy-duty kind of thing that doesn't often get examined. You know, and children get a sense of this very, very early, even before they can articulate it. And so by you saying, and I'm glad when we open up, you said, you know, colorism is, you know, an offshoot or a byproduct of racism.
Definitely.
That it's not a separate issue whatsoever, because if there was no racism, there would be no colorism, because there would be no reason to be inclined to want to be something other than what you were.
Then want to be closer to white.
Right, and because that's the real thing, because that's where the favor seems to come from, you know, because we have been socialized into the idea that fair and fair skin is just that, is fair. And, you know, if you don't happen to have fair skin, then it's going to be unfair for you. You know, and the closer you are in proximity to whiteness, then the fairer your experience may be, you know, not just in America, like you said. You know, colorism exists, you know, beyond New Orleans and outside of the United States, and it's in India, it's in Asia, it's in Africa, it's, you know, it's in all through Latin America. Everywhere the white man has invaded colonized has this condition of colorism because, you know, I think they looked at the sheer force and might of you know, the white man and said, man, I want to be like that. Much the way that sometimes people do who are abused or violated by other folk, they take on those kinds of ways. They say, well, you know, I want to do like that. I want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying this is definitely a sickness. You know, we got to call colorism what it is. It's not just an unfortunate thing. It's a byproduct of racism, and unfortunately, too many of our people, I would venture to say most of our people, based on our behavior, we're not really clear about racism and what racism is. So the fact that this is a byproduct of racism doesn't really clear it up for most folk.
That's right.
You know, I wanna say this too. Since we're looking at whiteness here, we have to look at, and we talk about it here on the show oftentimes, and I'm glad that we do. We have to look at the truth of what has happened. The white man, or so-called white people, less than 9% of the world's people, they violate humanity. They violate the humanity of 91% of the world's people. They violate the humanity of 91% of the world's people. And it's they that refer to all those other people, 91% of the people, as a minority. You know what I'm saying? When in fact that is impossible. Clearly, the minority on this planet is the so-called white people, who have only been here for 6,500 years. So the fact that they can get into the minds of 91% of the planet's people to cause them to want to be like white people is devilish. You know what I'm saying? And it's inhumane. And the only reason that whole racial construct is still successful is because it's in our heads. You know, they're not even standing over us anymore doing that. We're doing it for ourselves because we've internalized that idea. We see our people as inferior the further away they are from white. And oftentimes, not even consciously, we have the bias, Mama Fire.
Definitely have a bias. And then I'm thinking about all the brothers and sisters that are hurting themselves to actually be lighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, these are beautiful brothers and sisters just the way they are, and then they're putting things on their skin that could actually hurt them.
Right.
To be, you know, lighter. And then, you know, so there's a white supremacy here, Brother Shaq, and then last week we talked about the conscious supremacy, and if we don't watch out, there'll be a light-skinned supremacy in a minute. I mean, how many people do you know have children with light-skinned people or white people so that their children will be light-skinned?
Now, that's right. That's a real big one right there. Deliberately.
Deliberately.
How sick are you, right?
Well, I mean, it's very, very sad to think you hate yourself and you hate your skin that much. And, you know, that's the skin we should be celebrating. I mean, really, skin shouldn't even matter. At the end of the day, skin shouldn't matter. And, you know, we are all human beings, but when it does matter, it's on the side of the whiter skin. And that's the part that should really wake us all up. You know, I think about my situation, Brother Shaq, being a lighter skinned sister.
Mm-hmm.
People always asking me if I'm mixed. Still to this day,
mm-hmm.
What you mixed with? What's your nationality?
Mm.
You know, and it's like, I'm black. You know, when I tell them both my mama and my daddy are black, and my mama's mama and daddy are black, both of them, you know, and
You're clear.
I'm clear.
You're clear about who you are.
I'm definitely clear that I'm a black woman, that I'm a melanated woman, that I'm an indigenous woman, that I'm, you know, the original woman. But it goes to show you any light-skinned person, still to this day, people think they are mixed with white.
Right.
You know, and that makes you somehow better. Then there's the kind of issue where you're not black enough.
Right.
You know, I know you haven't had that experience, but I have. And it's not, you know, it's totally not fair when you in the trenches and you know, got the same issues, but you're not really black. You know, you must be mixed or, you know, and then light, bright, damn near white, they call you that, and like it's a diss to you. So it's like, listen, I didn't put my parents together and say, oh, y'all gonna make a pretty color baby. I didn't put my parents together. I'm a product of my parents. Now, my mama was a beautiful brown-skinned sister,
That's
beautiful chocolate sister. You know, my daddy was very light-skinned, you know, and they came together and made 3 beautiful children with all different skin colors. We're not all the same skin color, but I'm saying that, you know, people think you just automatically think you all that. And I understand there's a Dark Girls documentary, and a Dark Girls documentary talks about the pain of being a brown-skinned, deep-skinned sister, you know, the pain of that, and that broke my heart. And you know, I understand that it's much worse in this society to be a dark-skinned sister, but it ain't easy being light-skinned either. It's like you fighting to be, you know, it's like people don't consider you black, but then white folks definitely consider you black.
Right.
You know, so you get the racism and you get the, you know, all of that other stuff, but then to your own people sometimes you're outcasted for being light. So it goes both ways, and it's all ridiculous. Like, it's all really, you know, we one family. When we think of black and we think of the shades of black, how remarkable that black can go from deep, dark blue black skin and all the way to light. You know, I think about that book, Shades of Black, that they have for children to explain skin color.
Right.
And I use it all the time with my little ones, you know, when they say I'm too black or I'm ugly because I'm black or whatever. And I say, you know, you are a part of an amazing group of people that can be so many different colors, and you are really, really beautiful.
Right.
Your blackness stems from Africa. Did you know that? From the original land, you know, and I make sure to tell them how beautiful they are, Brother Shay. But who else is doing that?
True. And again, who else is really clear about the analysis about what racism is? Because that's the whole point of this. I want us to be clear that without racism, there would be no colorism. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. We're not recognizing this as a holdover from racism.
That's right.
And that's
something that we can do. That's something we have control over.
Absolutely. Just being clear about how we came to be like this and how this was done to us. Racism is something that was done. You know what I'm saying? Race is a construct, and racism is an arrangement. You know what I'm saying? This ain't somebody's feelings about emotions. There's no science to somebody being lighter and better. There's no science to that. That's a complete lie. That's just specious. That's something that, again, it's an arrangement. It's a construct. And so all we're doing is simply taking that on and projecting that onto our own people. But understand this. The topic is unfair skin. So it is so difficult for people who are darker skinned, so people who could be white or pass for white or get advantages from having lighter skin gladly take them, because nobody wants to be, you know, discriminated against or have an unfair sort of situation. So, but again, we're not looking at why that is. We're just dealing with the what oftentimes, Mama Fire. And we got the lines lit up. I'm going to give out the calling number again, 504-260-9265. Again, that calling number is 504-260-9265 for today's topic on the True Love Movement Hour is unfair skin. Go ahead, caller. Thank you for holding. What's happening?
Hey, I'm sorry. Good evening. How y'all doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Fantastic.
Good evening.
What's happening, brother?
All right. I'm Gary. Hey, I was pleased to meet y'all the other night at the mod.
Yes.
Oh,
likewise,
yeah. Thank you, brother.
See everybody had, was so inspired and so eager to give their own opinion. It was real nice.
Definitely.
You was right about how they kept the information from us. I think a lot of information didn't come out to maybe between the mid-'80s or early '90s. I think it could have been later than that. I'm just guessing. I heard about him and speak about it, but I forgot the actual time. But it was like you said, it was they put so much in your head with the religion and everything. That, by the time you start telling people these things, they can't believe it for nothing in the world because it's so inbred into their head.
Right.
But like you said, skin color and hair color, man. Like your hair color. I like some African women that coming up, their hair was nappy, and not all nappy, but the city. I'm just trying to
Yeah, go ahead, bro. We're
You
listening.
know, the hair, the African woman's hair was connected to the earth. And,
Mm-hmm.
as far as melanin, man, melanin goes so far back, you know, like, Henrietta Lacks. Look at the video on Henrietta Lacks where
Right.
she all her cells, and
Mm-hmm.
she was able to take a spaceship into the moon because of all melanin and everything.
That's right.
And melanin plays such a part in our dreams and carbon and diamonds and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They sell melanin at $383 a gram. That's worth more than gold.
So see, they're capitalizing off of us again in yet another way.
Right, and every time you think somebody has died in an ambulance, going to the doctor and everything, a lot of times, a lot of these drive-by shootings, and they question, even on the local news now, they question all the shootings in Chicago. Could they be all questionable shootings, not all by all gang members? You know, it could be organ donors.
Sure.
The rich people need organs, and a lot of time, I think it's Hidden Colors that Hidden Colors 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was telling you about these things. You know, so many women. I think it's 54,000 women that's missing, man, in the United States.
Right.
And nobody's talking about it. And so many men just equal. So many black men is just missing because Hurricane Katrina. A lot of bodies are missing. During that Rodney King riot, 10,000 men bodies was displaced.
Right.
And missing, man. You know, it's a big business, man.
It is a big business.
Melanin is great, man. I mean, we can go on and on all day about it.
Well, let me ask you about colorism, though. What is your experience? What is your personal experience with colorism here in New Orleans, Brother Gary? In terms of the light skin, dark skin preferential treatment or experience or the whole nine. How has colorism impacted you?
I'm like skin myself, but I never got any preference. And as far as somebody saying, hey man, you light skin, so you gonna always get the girls, or something like that. Maybe when I was growing up and I was smaller, but I was skinny as a big bush. Everybody has a big bush, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as getting a job or something like that, I think the Mexicans took that over now. But back in the day, back in the day, that was a real.
Were you ever affected by the paper bag test? Were you ever affected by the paper bag test here in New Orleans? I know the paper bag test was real big here in New Orleans. Were you ever affected by that?
Paper bag test?
Yeah.
Could you expound on that?
So the paper bag test was something that back in the day they would do for parties. And if you were lighter than a paper bag, you could get in. If you was darker than a paper bag, that was a big thing here in New Orleans and some other places too. But that was a way of again, kind of keeping the darker skinned brothers away from, because the presumption was always that the lighter skinned people had it better. And again, that's just a presumption. There's no science on any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's just go back to say, back then we didn't know no better.
Right. Well, now we do. Now we do.
Now we know better, so we do
now
better.
Now we're going to do better, man.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really know.
Well,
Well, tell them, Brother Gary.
Like the only one call, a lot of people need to really turn into your show because this is really what's more part of information. I mean, not a lot of part of information for politics and stuff.
Right.
But this is very important.
Well, brother, we counting on you to let them know, Gary. We thank you, man.
Thank y'all.
Right
All
on,
right, thank
brother.
you,
Take care.
brother. Thank you, brother.
We still
Man,
got
this
that
topic
line,
is
man.
huge.
Oh, yeah, man. I
This
know
topic is
it's
huge.
much longer than an hour.
Yes.
Thank you for holding. Welcome to the True Love Movement Hour. This is Brother Shaq. What's happening, Mama Fi? What you say?
God bless you. How you doing today?
Hey,
God bless
what's
you,
happening,
brother.
What you say?
All right. Yeah, this is topic because I'm sure she's pretty much changed now, but I know I heard her interview with Shaka Khan. Celebrating her birthday, but I guess about 15, 20 years ago, she was saying she was basically colorless,
Yeah.
And but as the past several years, I know she's dealt with Trayvon Martin and a lot of social issues that was changed the black that she's
Mm-hmm.
and deals with the black community. So I'm pretty much sure she transitioned from that state of mind.
Yeah, we all grow. You colorless till them police jam you up and they'll tell you what your color is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm tired of society should say that
Right.
And then, I'm fine with people that work dark enough. I think those are kind of blacks that explain that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. You know, they may call up to a little bit of blackness, but then they don't know how to handle that. They like to see themselves being superior because they may be dark and you are. To me, that's a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. As you don't talk about last week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Try to feel superior to someone else because of a different shade of color
Oh,
or different knowledge base. You know,
right.
that's a black person just got a little bit of inkling of knowledge. Now they think they all that, you know.
But you know, brother, there were two key things about both of those examples you gave. This idea of distancing, you know, is a manifestation of internalized racial inferiority. According to the People's Institute, distancing is one, and so is colorism is another. So, in other words, these are things that are born out of racism, but often they're not looked at in connection or in conjunction with racism. There appear to be separate kinds of issues. That's why we haven't been able to heal from this wound, because we're just saying it shouldn't be this way, and people need to stop that because it's 2017 without any real process of healing taking place. You see what I'm saying? And this is one of those proof positives that time don't heal everything. You know, because we're in the same kind of condition because of the confusion, because it hurts, man.
Yeah, that's right.
This thing hurts. I don't know if you've talked to any women or sisters that have encountered colorism, but I hear it and I see people talking about it all the time. And I'm talking about people who are, you know, well into their 40s and oftentimes 50s. So this ain't no small segment of our population that's dealing with this. These people who've been dealing with this their entire lives, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Perpetuating. It seems like some of them aren't really concerned about addressing the issue either. You know, they're dealing with issues in the black community, but they're not going to deal with the whole colorism issue for whatever reason.
It just seems like it's so big, you know. A lot of folks.
You're talking about the year 2017. I think in 1962 the first formalized Black is Beautiful campaign started. Thinking about black artists and black models. And so I think that's the Black is Beautiful concept and movement. I think that's something we have to focus on and promote on a daily basis.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. If not, we're going to have this thing, well, you know, I'm better than you or I'm colorless, you know, because white racism is going to be clamping down on black beauty and the concept of black beauty on a daily basis. So we have to counteract that by uplifting black beauty as the beautiful.
Yeah.
Sure. And the beauty ain't skin deep, bro.
Exactly.
I mean, I know you know that, but I'm saying when we're dealing with surface type issues because we think that's where we can manipulate things at. We can get skin bleaching cream, or we can get hair texturizers, or we can get contact lenses. We can do all these kinds of things to change our appearance, but our appearance is not where our beauty is.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Comes from inside.
It comes from inside, but this notion that it is an external thing has kept us, in my view, brother, very sick and, you know, proliferating this sick and shallowness without even interference from direct interference from the white man. This has been us, you know.
I just tuned in. You're having a book event, is that right?
Yes, I'm having a book signing on April 29th, brother.
29th. Okay. All right, great.
I hope to see you there, and please tell some people it's going to be real nice.
Yeah, we'll have more info coming soon, brother. It's going to be at the Kramer Center.
God bless that.
All right, God bless. Sisters of all colors.
That's right.
You know, we are celebrating each other and ourselves.
So what about you, Mama Fi? I mean, what you say?
Man, this topic is so deep, Brother Shaq. It really is, because it's really at its core racism.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you try to explain it to people, because it's ingrained in their minds and hearts, you know, they really can't, you know, cognitive dissonance comes in and they just can't understand that. But the real anchor is in the families, I think, is in how brown-skinned sisters are raised. You know, how, you know, you got to be raised to know that you are beautiful and know that this is a prize, you know. Your deep melanin is a prize. And, you know, they on that Dark Girls documentary, they talked about how, you know, light-skinned women are the wives and the dark-skinned women are the mistresses, and dark-skinned women never get married, and these kind of things. And, you know, I'm glad that came to light, because that's something that I never knew. I never really understood that there was that issue, you know. you know, it's so deep and deeply rooted and, like you said, very hurtful. So not only do we need the information that this is only racism perpetuated, this is only white supremacy perpetuated, but we've got to deal with, if I was treated differently from my mama because I was darker skinned, we have to really deal with, you know, if I didn't get picked, you know, by a man, he married a light skinned woman instead, or, you know, whatever the case it is, we still got to deal with those issues within our own selves, Brother Jack.
Right.
You know, that's what makes the difference when we really look at it, you know, look at it to say, how is light skin a privilege? You know, look at light skin privilege.
Right.
And how is that a privilege? I can't see it like that, Brother Shaq.
Sure.
I maybe need to dig deeper, but I just didn't look at it from that lens, like, oh, I'm privileged because I'm light skinned. I'm getting this job because I'm light skinned, you know, because that's the only lens that I was able to look at it as, because I'm not a deeper brown skinned sister.
Right. That's what makes, I think, for our people, the colorism part confusing, seemingly too big to tackle,
Yeah.
and extra hurtful to folks, to all of our people, because, you know, depending on where you are in proximity to whiteness, you may not ever have to think about certain kinds of things like that. You won't have to encounter, you know, I was reading something in preparation for the show, that a sister was saying that, you know, black skin or dark skin is beautiful only when it's oiled up. And she was saying as a model how she's fetishized because of she's you know, blue black, and you know, so she's a model and they like to put oil on her and honey and all these things to make her skin shine, and it's all cool for the camera, but once the photo shoot's over with, don't nobody want to have nothing to do with her.
She's considered ugly.
She's consumable, you know, they just
right, but how they
away.
also, you know, related to candy, like chocolate, chocolate skin, instead of saying that you're black and that it's beautiful and it's okay. You don't have to be objectified as a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, and that's one of the chief things that I hear from our darker skinned brothers and sisters, is that, particularly the sisters, is that the darker you are, the more highly sexualized you are.
And that was in the documentary.
Yeah, and that didn't come from, you know, just like last week. That was something, you know, that
deeply
happened on the
rooted in
plantation,
slavery,
right?
yes.
And so, but I'm saying that we have bought into this madness, and so we're a part of it, in not understanding the hurt that it's causing our people, because, you know, as much as we're, like, I know the brother Eric was talking about how Shaka Khan was saying she was colorless and all that, but people want to distance themselves from their blackness because there's often not a benefit to being black, particularly darker black, you know, because we look at the way we tend to see things is that white man and white people and white supremacy holds all of the advantages, they hold all the resources, they hold all the good stuff. And so if we intend to get any of that, we have to curry favor from them. And the closer we are in proximity to them, in terms of our skin color or features or what have you, it seems like the more favorable they are, which gives some of us the perception that we're better. It gives those of us who are further away the idea that they're worse, and to the point where they did what you said earlier, where women are trying to have babies that are lighter skinned so that their children could have privileges that they don't.
That's right.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. This is a sickness, and we have to look at where the sickness came from. We still got the lines lit up.
And the truth of the matter is that we are one. In order to have unity, we have to say that you know, we are one people. You know, before any one love or any, you know, colorlessness, anything like that can happen, our people gotta be one.
And I'm glad you said that too, because we wind up, we still got the lines lit up, but we're going to get to that caller. We thank you for calling and holding. I want to make an important point in terms of solutions, as we are about solutions on the True Love Movement, our Mama Five. This is the thing. This is not going to be able to be addressed with white people. Like, we have to deal with colorism as black people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then we have to deal with colorism. You know, we got to genderize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, black men have to deal with colorism with black men, apart from black women and black girls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because it impacts us in very, very different ways before we're able to even come together, because we got to deal with these biases that we have and take apart where that came from to really, really be clear. And because what I'm saying is a process, it's not an event, so it won't happen like that. This is not an intellectual thing, meaning the people listening to the show, the people who called in the show, and everyone else watching, for the most part, knows intellectually that we all are the same, that we're all in the same condition, that we all are black people. They know that here. But when they walk out and move through the world, they find that by both black people and non-black people, that lighter skin, regarding not just on black people, but just lighter skin across the board, is rewarded, and darker skin is often penalized or punished. And that's a real thing. So the only way to change that around is on a very individual basis.
Yes.
So individually, we got to get clear. It's not that black people have to have a meeting, okay, and make an announcement,
Right.
but every individual black person, regardless of where they're at on the spectrum in proximity to whiteness, has to really look at themselves and get clear about who they are
That's
and what's
right.
happening with them and whatever biases they have and where those things came from
Yes.
in order to eradicate it. Because we can do this, but it's going to take that very deliberate, intentional kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we still got the lines lit up. Thank you for holding the call. What's happening? Welcome to the True Love Movement Hour. Turn your device or your radio down, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing.
Okay, what you say, man?
Kundalini rise.
Uh-huh.
Mother Nature taking her land back from all this destruction that the white man has caused. And climate change ain't no more than melanin.
All right.
Thank you for taking my call today.
You got it? Right on, man.
All right.
Cool. You know,
We all rising, brother.
definitely, and I think the much of what we see is this idea of, like the brother was saying, the Kundalini is rising. The white man and the great white man is this is their last stand. You know, we're seeing that particularly in the political arena. Which is where most of our people are really plugged in, because it seems like that's where power is. When you look at anything from a governmental standpoint, it seems like the government is over you and you're under it. Even though you're sold a bill of goods that you're a part of it, yeah, you're the part of it it stands on and it was built on top of. You know, so what we're seeing is the preponderance of white men who are reasserting their power. But if you look at that, they're all old white men at this point, and that's very metaphoric of or indicative of the reality that this is coming to an end. Racism is being undone on the one hand, and it's also collapsing, Mama Fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's collapsing around us simply because white people, as less than 9% of the global population, are steadily shrinking, and they've had negative population growth. And now that people are very clear about the power of melanin and their will to survive in longevity, they're doing the interracial thing. They are trying to survive with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we always refer to that National Geographic article, America 2050, where there won't be any white people. That's what that article said. But there will be light-skinned people, and what you said, Mama Fire, is
Very careful.
light-skinned supremacy, because our minds are still in the same kind of condition. So it's very easy to augment that right onto a light-skinned kind of supremacy, so that white people don't have to exist for the ideology of white supremacy to be prevalent. And many of the white people who are forward-thinking now are already mixing and getting, quote-unquote, black or a black bloodline to be able to carry on through the longevity.
Yes.
Because 6,500 years, it's really coming to an end. And I think we're seeing that energetically. Part of the reason why it has always been it seemed like so easy, I think, for white supremacy or white people to, quote-unquote, dehumanize all other people of color, the 91% of the people on the planet, is because of that. There's a fundamental difference. You know, when you look at that language, black people or people of color, they're color man.
Mm-hmm.
So the hue man is 91% of the world's population. The hue man is dominant. But mankind doesn't have any problem trying to dehumanize human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what the effort has always been. And the way that it has happened is right through the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right through the mind. And so now we have taken on ideals and idealism that is not ours. It's not our natural mind, and we are, unfortunately, in many cases, an enemy to ourselves, unbeknownst to us. And so we're saying here, the True Love Movement, now, we're really classifying colorism as a sickness. It's an illness, and that's not an opinion, because it's dehumanizing. You know, and that's the one right that we have to exist on this earth as human beings, and nobody outside of us is going to respect that right. That is something we have to respect for ourselves, about ourselves, and therefore about each other.
That's right. And the truth is that we have to love ourselves. We have to, as black people, this is the step that all of us have to take. And when we're talking about loving ourselves, we're talking about loving every part of ourselves, including our skin.
Definitely.
Including where we are. There's nothing that I can do about being a light-skinned woman. There's nothing about being to do, but I am, thankful that I am black. I am so thankful that I was raised by two parents who were black and who were proud to be black and told me that I was black and I need to be proud of who I am and that I stand tall. And they gave me a name, Ayana, a warrior name, to carry on, and so no one can take that away from me, and so every black person, every melanated and indigenous person need to do the process of loving themselves.
That's right.
In order to know that there's nothing that white people can do or nothing that white supremacy can do to divide us.
Right.
When we know who we are, no matter what skin tone you are.
And two, I'm glad you brought that up, Mama Fire, because this work and doing this work individually and collectively for our people, this isn't really the kind of work that has to be done solely by darker skinned people.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of work really that lighter skinned folk have to step up and deal with and help heal.
Yes.
Apart from dark-skinned people, meaning that you don't have to go get your 2 or 3 dark-skinned friends or whatever it is and say, come on, I'm going to help y'all out and look out for y'all because this is about us. But we have to support, and so if you're recognizing some kind of a privilege type situation, if you're a lighter skin or you're closer in proximity, then address it, eradicate it, or open that door for your brother or sister until we can get all of our people clear about this, because this is about loving our own people. And there is no, look, the unfair skin that's in the game right now is any skin that other than white skin. Be clear about that.
Right.
Be very clear about that. It ain't just simply the darker side of the darker end of the spectrum.
That's right. That's right. That is very, very right. And then when you have that in your own family, like when there's a whole family of light-skinned people, maybe there's something there. But when you have that in your own family, when everybody, especially in New Orleans, everybody's a different color. You can have dark, and light in the same family. And so stop hurting each other. Stop hurting each other on some white supremacy stuff.
Yes.
Understand that there's a whole full spectrum. Black holds every color of the rainbow. Black holds every color. And so that's so rich and beautiful, and that we should celebrate it.
And go deeper than the skin tone.
Yes.
Like that's not what makes you a good quality human being. Your complexion. Be clear. That does not automatically make you a good human being, regardless of what your complexion is.
That's right.
That is an external thing that you didn't even choose. You didn't pick it. You had nothing to do with that. So to look at our people in terms of beauty, but look at the beauty of their spirit, their energy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Forget all of that skin tone junk. We got another call holding. Thank you for holding. What's happening? Welcome to the True Love Movement.
All right,
what's
peace be
happening,
unto
bro?
you, brother.
Uh-huh.
One for terrorists called the Menopause Time.
Uh-huh.
Around the, European nations and their supremacy and everything.
Uh-huh.
And this month was called the Vikings.
Oh, yeah?
That's what the Vikings was, right? All they was doing was running around, killing European people and stealing from each other, really, brother.
Right.
And time, they found it with you doing the trade there. But in the middle of that one called Menopause Time, that Islam played a major role of getting these people out the dark age, man.
Yeah.
But listen, brother, here's the killer. I'm
Sure.
Come
Thank
on,
you,
brother.
brother.
Thank you.
That's right. We
Thank
know where
you.
that dear brother, brother Gaddafi was murdered and assassinated that way. He was bringing a central currency to all of Africa. You know, for Africa reclaiming her dignity and independence from invaders. So I mean, and there's a lot of things too happening on the continent too, Mama Fire, that I would ask our listeners and viewers to check into. There's a story right now in South Africa where the new president, I forget the brother's name, but they have made racism illegal there, and they're attempting to enforce laws that you will go to prison for racist things. And I like that, of course. There are many African leaders who are not westernized in their thoughts, and they're really trying to reclaim the dignity and humanity of the African or indigenous Alkebulan people, our people over there. So there is a tide that's coming, and it's been a long time coming. It's not an event worldwide where our people are rising up and they're standing up with dignity, you know. And as we're doing that, we just have to be careful that we don't focus all of our energy on our enemy, lest our enemy will be in the house with us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think I'll close with this. You know, we look at the H haplogroup and the fact that it hadn't been around for more than 6,500 years. We know there's great documented information that so-called African or indigenous people are at least 3 or 4 million years old. Some say as much as 76 trillion. I could buy all of that. And the science says that the so-called white man was a made man. And he was made from the brown germ in the black or the original people. Now, that's some heavy-duty stuff right there. But I always think about this. What is this trying to teach us about ourselves? Has this been nothing more for the last 6,500 years than us looking at the worst of ourselves? You know what I'm saying, Mama Five?
That's right.
Something to show us, you know, who we are and to deal with that part of it.
Yeah, we
you
have
know,
to deal with it.
You
Deal
know
with
what I'm
it
saying?
all. That's right.
So that we can actually put that to an end and really rise for real. You know, rise out of our lower self and into our higher self like we should, Mama Five. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the work that we'll be doing around colorism, because this conversation is far from over. So much we couldn't get to on the air. So much we couldn't deal with on the air. And these conversations are happening, you know, on social media. They're happening in homes. They're happening with our people. And so we want to certainly be an ear and help solve this. And so we'll be doing some more things around colorism soon come that'll get more folk involved, and so we can really overcome this, Mama.
That's right. And I bring it in the oppression, depression, the colorism, the racism, the white supremacy, the, you know, anxiety that we feel as black people. I bring it into all of my sessions. And that's what we do. We do specific and specialized work for black people, and all of this is a part of that.
Indeed.
And so all of us have something that we have to process and work through, all of us.
That makes us better human. So give us a call at 504-309-LOVE. Again, 504-309-LOVE. That's the love line to set your appointment. We are accepting most major insurances, and we have a sliding scale. You can follow us at True Love Movement on Facebook. Like us at TLMHR on Twitter, and also follow True Love Movement on Instagram. There is the True Love Movement Hour YouTube channel with older videos and lectures and documentaries and things that we've done. And catch up with us at www.truelovemovement.com.
That's right.
We want to thank everybody for listening, for tuning in. We ask that you share this show with your family. Keep the conversation going, because we know it is. And comment in the comment section on the Facebook Live page, on the True Love Movement page. And until next time, I'm Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fire.
For the True Love Movement Hour.
Wholeness. I want to say something about this artist.
Oh, okay.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
All right, we're playing Green Acres by Charm Taylor today. She is our local artist that we are spotlighting.
Yeah.
In 2017, we are spotlighting all local artists from New Orleans, because we got it like that. And we be rolling like that. And so, colorism is is a deep rooted subject for our people, and for me too. It's very frustrating to have to deal with the comments that you get from our people. White people, I don't, you don't get much except for, oh, you have a beautiful complexion. But for black people, I have to hear it all the time about asking if I'm mixed or what ethnicity am I, or oh, because I'm light skinned, or because light bright or whatever. And so it's a frustrating topic because I have to, feel like I'm in a process of having to prove my blackness sometimes, and now I realize that you just have to be who you are. There's no, if somebody makes you feel like you got to prove something, that's somebody you don't need to be around. Just who you are is great enough, and that means inside and out. So I just only imagine what my darker skin, beautifully melanated sisters have dealt with and are dealing with. And so we are organizing around this. And so if you need support in any way, let us know.
Definitely. I like how our brother Ron Chisholm at the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond says is, asking about what box people are checking in terms of black people. Some folks are biracial and all these different things. He said, but the question is, if you're not sure about what color you are, you're talking about the color that when the police show up, how are they going to help you?
Right.
That's what we're talking about here. And the idea that the closer you are to white, the better it is for you and the better you are. And, oftentimes we're too happy to talk about all of the other ethnicities and things that we are, quote unquote, mixed with that are in our families, because being a quote unquote black person or melanated person has a horrible connotation. And, again, there was a sister, Mama Fire, that I met that was talking about how happy she was when she found out she was an 8 Irish.
She was happy?
She was so happy.
Wow.
And she found out she was an 8 Irish, but, again, I don't think her experience has been that of an Irish person, and she concurred on that. It's just all, that's what I'm saying, it's all psychological, because you can have whatever you say you have in your genetic line, but however you present is going to be your experience. And in order for us to change the quality of that experience, we have to do that on a very individual, intentional, deliberate, and internal kind of basis to bring about some real change for that, Mama Five. So
yeah.
I'm proud of the work that's ahead, and we give thanks, family. So please share the show. Talk to your friends and your family about it, and y'all get straight, because you got to get clear on racism before you even understand colorism. And let's grow and let's improve. And make that book signing too, Mama. If I tell them about the book signing.
That's right, April the 29th at the Cremont Center for Art and Culture, which is on Burgundy Street in the 9th Ward. We're going to make it real nice. So y'all come out, support your sister and the many sisters that are going to be involved. Book signing for Keep It High, Thoughts in a New Light.
Right on. We're going to make all our skin fair.
Family. That's right.
Right on.